What is going on, my fellow Summit Chasers, and welcome to another episode of the Summit Chasers podcast, a podcast where we make success simple so that you can live extraordinary. What is going on, my fellow Summit Chasers, and welcome to another episode of the Summit Chasers podcast. I am really looking forward to today's topic and today's guest. But first, a few quick announcements. Actually, just one announcement for today. Get your tickets for the Young Professionals Leadership Summit ASAP. That's October 19th in Toronto, Ontario. I'm Canadian and I even pronounce it wrong. Ontario. So save your spot because they're going really, really quickly. And our goal with this event was to make it as accessible as possible to new and upcoming leaders. So tickets are really starting to go, which is fantastic. And we're very excited for this event. And it's shaping up to be one of the most impactful events for young and new leaders, whether you're moving up in the corporate ladder or you're growing your business. But now, to the task at hand. Today's guest is Konstantin Ristl, a physicist and mathematician turned entrepreneur. After earning his Master's of Science degrees in both physics and mathematics in Germany and publishing his first scientific paper, Konstantin co-founded Blinkit, or Blink IT, which I wrongfully called it earlier. It's an online learning platform that evolved from serving freelance trainers to becoming an enterprise solution. Having built Blinkit from scratch, and I'll let him tell you the story today of what that looked like, into a thriving business, Konstantin is now focused on his new venture, highstack.io, where he's pioneering AI-driven solutions for sales outreach, specifically in building high buying intent lists for sales teams. And as an entrepreneur who's been through it all, we're very excited to welcome Konstantin to the show today. My friend, how are you doing?
Hi, Zach. Thank you for having me. I have to admit, my life sounds even better when you announce it. So thank you for that.
Look, just give me a call every morning and I'll give you a little pump-up speech and
Yeah, we should do that.
get the confidence
I
up.
love it.
But no, it's very
Yeah.
impressive. It's very impressive. I don't think it matters who says it, but it is interesting when you do hear somebody kind of relay back, a part of your bio and then introduction. You kind of are like, oh man, I've accomplished some pretty cool things. How did it feel hearing that?
To be honest, hearing it, that is super amazing. But how did it feel on a journey? Actually, I think I stopped too little to actually celebrate the things that happened.
Mhm.
And I think that is kind of my biggest downside, that I don't celebrate enough. But yeah, I think it has been an awesome 10 years.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it. Well, you're definitely, again, I'm gonna let you tell more of the story, but you're definitely somebody who seems, you see a problem, you want to fix it, or you want to be part of the solution, or you see an opportunity, you want to take advantage of it. And that is like, it's an infinite game. It's not a finite game, right? There's always more we can do, more we can accomplish. With that being said, what made you go from you're in the scientific publishing space, mathematician, physicist, into being an entrepreneur of all things?
Yeah, that is a beautiful question because it's easy to answer. Basically, why did I become a scientist in the first place? Because I love to solve riddles, all kind of riddles. And physics is exactly that. You're solving riddles for 5 years in a row, basically, until you have your master's degree. But when I then published my first paper, I realized, okay, all these riddles are so slow, and I didn't feel like I have a real impact. And people who are really like the celebrities of the physics space, they work on one thing for like 10, 20, 30 years, and then they get the Nobel Prize somewhere in Scandinavia. And somehow that life didn't look compelling to me. But I found a few friends who were actually more into the entrepreneurial journey and wanted to start stuff. And then I figured, okay, I can actually have all of that riddle solving and I can have an impact. So why not start my own business? Before we started Blinkit, I think we failed 3 businesses while at university still. And I was very lucky that actually the first business that took off really fell into the same time frame when I finished studying. So basically, it's the riddle solving. And sorry if I talked too much now about it, but the short answer is riddles, and that is entrepreneurship to me.
I love that, solving riddles. And if I'm hearing you correctly, it was that the riddles that you were solving as a physicist, the turn rate was a little bit too long. It was too much time. You wanted to be able to keep moving forward, do different things, focus on different riddles, as opposed to one big riddle over 10 to 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I still love news in science and I read everything. And I mean, even like lately, I get stuff when the Starliner ship is now stuck on the ISS and stuff like that. But I don't want to work in that field because everything is so slow. I mean, today in the news, it was the Starliner crew is now stuck for like 9 months. Something goes wrong in science. You wait 9 months, you wait maybe 3 years.
Mhm.
In business, if it doesn't work, you see it in a month or two. And
Mhm.
if you are not honest with yourself and you do not admit after 2 months, oh, it might be wrong, then yeah, then you're on a really bad path.
Mhm.
So I love that rapid feedback whenever I'm working with clients.
And that is almost, I don't want to speak for you,
Yeah.
but having worked with many entrepreneurs and being multiple one myself, that your ability to data, to look at the things as riddles, as problems, and being able to see big gatherings of data itself, and look at that and make a decision and look at it consistently. That's one of the biggest misses I see with a lot of entrepreneurs, especially when they're starting out, is not looking at the data. They're going off intuition and feel. They call it like the LOFA, the leap of faith assumptions, and they just go
Mm.
for it without looking at the data. How has that really helped you in your entrepreneur journey, is being data and problem solving focused?
Um, I think the short answer is data helps me separate signal from noise.
Mm.
So to give you a very recent example, I mean, you and I, we met, I don't even know when, like a few weeks ago, maybe on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
And when I started becoming active on LinkedIn, I was doing all of these content publishing schemes where I tried to get people onto my profile. But while it feels good to actually grow your followership, I figured after a while, okay, but that doesn't grow my business.
Mhm.
And then I tried new strategies to actually figure out, okay, where do I see in my data that people are actually buying my product and where don't they? And basically, a growing followership does not correlate at all with my product. But I have a lot of entrepreneur friends. I'm also in a
Mhm.
few organizations where these people are organized. And I see that a lot of people just think, okay, my metric is rising, it must be good. But honestly, it's not. And I
Mhm.
think that is the biggest advantage if you can separate signal from noise.
Mm. So how would you have you heard of the term vanity metrics?
Totally. I'm very
Yeah.
familiar with the term. Sometimes I love it too. I mean, honestly, as soon as I get, I don't know, 100,000 followers, I will throw a party, but it doesn't mean business. So
Mm.
vanity metrics are okay for my emotional side, I would say.
Yeah, the dopamine hits. It feels good, right? When
Yes,
you feel good, you do good, right? How can,
totally.
as an entrepreneur, so for the entrepreneurs listening to this, it's
Yeah,
very important that when you're looking at the data, you correlate what you're looking at and what you're weighing to the goal that you have, to the specific goal that your business has, that you and your business
yeah,
have. Sometimes we get lost in some of those vanity metrics, like you just said. It's going to feel great when you get 100,000 followers, but that's not the goal. That's a byproduct, right? So
yeah.
how what would your advice be? And then after this, we're going to switch. I want to hear more about your entrepreneur journey when you're kind of starting Blinkit. What would your advice to them be in separating and constantly checking yourself, so to speak, when it comes to separating the vanity metrics to the metrics that really lead you towards the goal that you have, the vision that you have?
Yeah. Actually, I usually start from my goal and then I drill it back down. So
Mm.
right now, I started a new software as a service business, and I know for a viable business, especially when you bootstrap, need profitability. So basically, I have to have my unit economics also like in order. Otherwise, it will never work. But basically, I know my number, how much money I need to pay myself out of that company for a specific level of freedom, and it's not even that much money. Now, that is the ultimate goal. If I only focus on that goal and I know I will only reach it in like half a year, maybe 9 months, maybe earlier, I don't know, then I will not achieve anything. So basically,
Mhm.
I try to drill down, okay, to have that much revenue, um, how many people do I actually need in what kind of ticket size to get that
Yeah.
revenue? To get these many people, how many people do I have to reach out to? Do I actually have to grow a followership, or which channels can I use? And then I kind of branch out. What are kind of the leading metrics that I need to achieve so that the outcome will come? And to make it very specific, at the moment with my SaaS business, my long-term goal is that I want to make at least 200K in profits a year. That is my next milestone that I think we can reach by the end of the year already. And to reach that, I know how many customers I need. And to get that amount of customers, I need to reach out to basically at the moment, I think 10 people every day. Because out of reaching out to 10 people, I have about 5 positive replies. I get 1 conversation out of 5 conversations. I get 1 customer. 1 customer a week is enough. So basically, that is how I would drill down to my metrics. And to actually stick to these metrics that are meaningful to me, honestly, I need outside help. So basically, I have a very close friend whom I'm starting this business with. And once a week, we are actually kind of digging deep and asking each other, are you still on track with your metrics? And if I tell him, no, but I measured this and that, and then he will tell me, yeah, but that doesn't matter. And you have to have someone who actually guides you a little bit from the outside. Otherwise, I'm like, it's very easy for me to lose track, to be honest. It's not a game that you win alone.
I love that. It's definitely absolutely not. Even though you can identify as a solopreneur, you're not winning the game alone. But I love what you said. So you focus on the leading metrics, and leading metrics are metrics that increase the likelihood of success further down your pipeline or further down your revenue stream. And sometimes those leading metrics, we shift from them being leading metrics to those are the leg metrics, which is what we truly define our success by. But having that third party, that somebody that can ask you the questions and hold you accountable, like, no, just because you have this many followers doesn't mean you're doing something good, right? The leading indicator we were looking at was comments or impressions or answers, messages that were answered or whatever it was. Like, those are the real leading indicators. They don't feel as good because maybe they don't happen as often and the number's not as big, but it's not a true, right? That's what correlates to a higher likelihood of future success. So beautiful advice.
What I would love to add actually to this one is you sometimes also have to clean your metrics. Even if you're on the right metric, one metric that was important to me is how many people are engaging with my content on LinkedIn, for instance. But I saw a pattern that it's always the same people. So basically, that doesn't help me, because if it's always the same people who are engaging, then I don't find new people. But anyway, maybe that's my physicist
really
heart going deep now.
And I think that this is going to be a really good segue going into what you're doing with High Stack, right? But it's okay. Am I engaging with the different people? Am I growing my network, or am I engaging with the same people? And is the people that I'm engaging with, are they my ICP? Are they are they the people that I want to be in my network that could use my product and service, right? Like my ideal customer profile too. Like, there's lots of, again, it's the leading indicator. You still have to, just because they're leading indicators and they can be vague, doesn't mean you don't clearly define them and then be held accountable to them, right? Staying within those confines, right? I love it. Beautiful. So tell me a little bit more about Blink. So how did you tell me about your journey growing Blinkit first, before we get into High Stack?
To just give you a few key highlights. So basically, as I said, we are completely bootstrapped. So my co-founder and we didn't have any capital at the beginning. Our parents didn't give us any credits either. But somehow we managed to find kind of one customer who started a bigger project with us. It was, I think, about 40 to 50,000 euros in the first project. I mean, right out of university, I felt like the king. What we did now is that we actually sold a platform as a PDF file. We had a designer, like freelance designer. We had a PDF file, and we promised, okay, we can deliver this within, 3 months. So we had a customer who trusted us. I think he rather trusted my co-founder and me as people, but not the product yet. And he wanted to do something good. So basically, that was our first kind of investor, so to say. And with that money, we actually managed to deliver. But as in every good software as a service story, basically the first product was an interface where people could watch videos, leave comments, a little bit like a YouTube-like approach for learning and education. And now, as with YouTube, you need to take care that the videos are converted in the right format. So basically, I was the human conversion server, for instance. We didn't program everything. I downloaded video files that were uploaded during the day. I converted them on my laptop, and then I uploaded them again, put all the entries in the database, stuff like that. So as you asked, okay, how did it go? The first year was basically like that. We held everything together by doing it manually. And then after a year, we went actually kind of break even enough with enough customers now in monthly contracts that we could hire the first internships. A year later, we actually were profitable enough that we could hire the first 2 employees. And after that, we grew to like 30 people. And when you ask me about the journey, for me, it's the most exciting part is the beginning. And after that, it's more like bringing structure into stuff. And typically, I was the first one building new departments, like the HR department, accounting department. But my co-founder was more taking care of the technical part, like leading the development of our business. And that was a really good division between the two of us.
That's good for you. You said something about you're sleeping in the offices. Is that when you had to get up and convert all the videos and that kind of stuff? Is that when you had to sleep in the office?
No, even worse. So basically, you asked me before we met for this meeting, is there anything that that was very unique, maybe to my story, which is I slept in each and every of our offices. And at the beginning, it was sometimes to make my conversion stuff at night. I mean, if you have to convert like 100 videos, your laptop is kind of using a lot of time. So basically, then it got even worse because I was kind of sleeping 20 minutes for one video. Then my alarm rang. I had to convert the next video, stuff like this. So it was horrible. And I had to do that at the office because 10 years ago in Germany, the internet at home was not good at all. Our first office was in a building at the university where we could actually rent an office. And the internet was splendid. So basically, with all the data that I had to upload and download, there was no option. Then in later offices, it was sometimes because we had a big release that we had to still troubleshoot stuff for and everything. But I think the most exciting phase was at the beginning when, out of practicality, I couldn't leave. If I would have left, the videos wouldn't have been ready the next day. It's unfortunately the truth.
And I love those stories. Every true entrepreneur has those types of stories where they had to sleep. Like, again, we were talking before, and I had to sleep at all my gyms and the offices. You had to sleep at your offices and then set an alarm every 20 minutes so you could get up and convert another video. That's wild.
Other people would consider that torture, but I did it on my own will. So
yeah, well, yeah, we're entrepreneurs are just masochists. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's just the way. But I mean, it's so great that people like you exist to do that kind of stuff. Otherwise, innovations and these types of things, these types of conversations don't happen. So I'm very thankful that you're here now and you're healthy, right? Nothing bad came out of it, obviously, and you're here. So how did that? So obviously you had you said beforehand that you had a bit of an exit you stepped down as a CEO from Blinkit. You're still a part of the company, but you kind of stepped down so you could focus on highstack.io. Now, can you tell me a little bit about what is highstack.io and what is kind of the mission of highstack?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I want to solve riddles. And one riddle that I couldn't solve in my last company is that I really wanted to do something in the AI space. And actually, in education, I don't think that AI is that far. We will see it in the next few years, but somehow it was not a fit. And late last year, I think it was in November 2023, I started giving workshops, especially for entrepreneurs. I'm in the entrepreneur organization. I don't know how many members they have, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 worldwide. And I started reaching out to people, okay, would you be interested in a workshop where I teach you how you can apply AI in your own company? And what I get out of it is that you tell me the problems that you would really love to solve. And what you get out of it is all of my expertise, because I was already working with the OpenAI playground since 2021 or something like that. So a lot of people agreed. At the end, I think it was over 400 people that I actually helped getting AI into their companies. And we saw one pattern now is the bridge to highstack.io. We saw one pattern that everyone was asking us, or a lot of people were asking us, one, how can we scrape the internet with AI? So basically, data extraction is a really, really big topic. And the second topic was, okay, how can I get more clients through AI? Can I do outreach? Can I do inbound techniques? Can I write my own content for LinkedIn, for Instagram, whatever? And so we were experimenting a lot. Actually, the first half of the year until June, I think, we were experimenting. We did all kinds of things. Maybe I can go into the details later. But we landed it now that we actually apply AI to really find buyers in the market. And I mean that we can find buying intent signals with people that don't know me yet, and I can reach out to them. And with that strategy, we can three times or 5 times improve outreach like already given outreach strategies from our clients only by applying these amazing lists. And after I saw that, I thought, okay, we have to go double down on that. That is the thing. And my new co-founder 100% agreed. So basically, that is what we are doing, and we are doing it very successfully.
Yeah, well, and this is one of the things that, again, we've been very picky lately on who we're bringing on the show. And one of the things that really drew me to you was, even just in your content in itself, is it was very data driven, but there was still a lot of humility within it, a lot of like that human touch. And that's been a big topic, right? Especially AI used in sales, used in outreach, right? Is how do I use it properly, and how do I use it like inauthentically, right? And no one's asking how do I use it inauthentically, but the uses of it that are inauthentic. Now, what are the differences and the misconceptions? And this is something that we kind of touched on beforehand, the misconceptions of utilizing AI for your sales outreach.
I think the first and biggest misconception in general is that people want to have a hands-off approach, and I don't get why. So they hope they get kind of an AI robot taking care of everything, and afterwards I just have customers. A lot of people don't want to take care really of sales, or they want to kind of get rid of their sales team. I really don't get it. But AI is just a tool. It's not the solution. It's not a magic pill. And you really have to figure out what you're doing with it. Now, the second, like this is kind of the overarching misconception. So the second misconception is when people realize, okay, I can't go all hands off. What are the steps that I can automate with AI? Then everyone is thinking about the obvious, hyper-personalized messages, because ChatGPT can write these great texts. But honestly, these texts are not that good. And if they are good, then they are really kind of in a very, very tight template, basically, only like template editions. So what we use for, the only thing that we use for our templates is AI when we want to clean titles or we want to clean a name. Like if you scrape a name on the internet and someone has an emoji or anything in its name, you want to get rid of that. And AI is very good at that. But it is everything that we do with personalization. And that is what people are looking at because it's the obvious choice. But if you look a little bit deeper, then you will see, and now that is the good part that people are still overlooking for some reason, you can use AI to classify people. Or like, oh, that sounds too Orwellian. That's too creepy. Not classify, but it can judge a little bit. It can put it into buckets. I can give ChatGPT my whole profile from LinkedIn, for instance, and ask, okay, is Konstantin in the B2B space or B2C space? Sounds very profound. I mean, a human could do it, but an AI can do it quicker and usually more consistent. So that is what we are using AI for, that we build these lists. And you can also, and that is what I meant earlier with buying intents, you can scrape full conversations in comments under posts, for instance, on LinkedIn, and figure out who is actually actively talking about looking for design services, because then I can match them with a design client who is looking for sales services. That is how I'm finding my customers, honestly. And that is what you can do with AI. You can build really, really amazing lists, and that is overlooked.
That's overlooked big time. And there's a few that you see, AI experts that you see that are talking about utilizing it in this way, right? Dan Sanchez is one of them. He's somebody I had on the podcast. He's great. I should introduce you to. We're utilizing it to clean things up and almost making it more personalized, and using it correctly. It almost allows you to be more authentic, more human, because AI is it's an assistant. It's a tool, like you said. It's not. You're not hiring a salesperson to go do your outreach for you, right? And I don't know if people just watch too much of the Terminator or these other movies where they think like, oh, AI is going to solve all of our problems. No, it just makes your current problems easier and more tangible. Sorry, you're about to say something.
Yeah, no, I mean, picture this. Because you say that I have a more human touch if I write stuff myself. I write about 30 outreach messages every day to people that might be interested in my product. And basically, I don't even add a connection message. I have 30 fully automated outreach connection requests to people on LinkedIn. Now, 15 every day will accept my connection. Now I will write 15 messages. And that is all that I'm doing because AI is taking care of the rest. I'm writing 15 messages every day and I get 7 meetings out of it. I mean, with that quota, I had to actually dial down that whole process because I can't handle 7 meetings a day. That is way too much. I really had to limit myself. And taking that approach, actually only writing my own messages with that high conversion rate that people actually then have a positive reply to me. That is the human touch. But all of that before, that is AI. And
Yeah, so
AI can't do the rest.
so the AI, it scrapes the list, so it brings you a
Mhm.
higher quality, a higher buying intent list. It
Indeed.
sends out the connection requests. So now you're not doing the mundane tasks of doing the connection requests themselves. But this list again has been gone through AI, high buying intent. So then when you do send those messages, you're sending 15 messages. Those are 15 higher impact, more focused messages. So it's going to be much more fruitful. So you're getting, basically that's like the definition of leverage, increasing your
Yeah.
leverage.
Yeah.
No, that's
I try to let AI do where I can do high quality, and I try to do myself where I add the quality. And that is the best tandem.
beautiful. What's a good example of doing it incorrectly? What most
Doing
people
it
do. What we've
incorrectly.
seen the most of. Yeah.
Or the first bad thing that I see is people actually using the sales navigator of LinkedIn and thinking, okay, these are my ideal customers. I will reach out to them, but they miss. Firstly, that these people are usually not active on LinkedIn. So basically, my approach usually is that is why I mentioned scraping comments is a very good idea, because I want to interact with people who are actually active on the platform. And now I talked so much about LinkedIn. We also have clients where we are basically reading Slack communities. We have a client where in that field, people are actually organized in Slack communities. And then we are reading the messages, we are reaching out on Slack. You can apply that to every kind of tool where people are talking. You could even scrape Reddit or wherever you think your customers might be. I mean, the world is so big. And yeah, what do I want to say? Yeah. So the misconception is people are using, instead of that approach, the sales navigator, think that these are high quality clients, but these people never call you back, never write back. And then you have all of that baggage in your pipe, and that is no fun.
Yeah. So what you're saying is they utilize just the filters
Yeah,
on Sales Navigator or like an Apollo IO or something like that,
exactly.
and not scraping it, because again, like you said, a lot of them could not even be active on LinkedIn, but they might be active on Reddit or the Slack channels or
Yeah.
Facebook or whatever it is. What's is there a platform, and this is going to be just based on your opinion, I'm sure, but from what you've seen, what platform is the best used for client acquisition and the
Mhm.
best platform for just the content building your audience type of thing?
I'm personally a very big fan of LinkedIn for one specific reason. First of all, we are mainly helping B2B client, like people selling to B2B clients. Because if you do outreach, and most people know that, you have to have a specific ticket size. Otherwise, it's just too expensive to have your SDRs and BDRs following up. Now, for that, I think that LinkedIn is still the best platform because it's designed to be like with an identity. People actually have their real names and have some kind of a vita of themselves where you can read, okay, that is what you did in your life. And if you find people there, that is perfect. If you don't find them there, then you have to branch out. That is why we have other clients who then use Slack because they didn't find them on LinkedIn. And we really like data driven. We try LinkedIn first, then we try everything else. Whatever sticks, sticks. So I would start on LinkedIn, but other than that, I don't have a preference where to find the clients. Now, no.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and then for the process, I think you asked for a tool that I would use to actually then follow up and do all of the enrichment and figuring out things. For one, we are building something which we will release soon. But in the meantime, clay.com or persana.ai, I prefer actually Persana. I just mentioned Clay because more people know it. But if you didn't see Persana yet, give it a look. you can use, it's built as a table, and you can use it to really enrich column by column. And it's the best tool to prototype all kinds of enrichment strategies. So my favorite tools.
I like it. I was about to say, maybe I'll put the link below, or maybe we'll wait for yours to come out and then we'll have you back on, and then we'll put that link down below. For those that they're hearing this, they're like, okay, I'm on the bandwagon now. I want to try to utilize AI to be more pointed in my in my sales process, in my outreach. Where do they start? What's the first thing they should do? They get off the podcast. What do they go do? Other than call you.
Other than call me, I wanted to say they should call me. So I'm extremely open about sharing my strategy step by step, and I do it typically on LinkedIn. So they could follow me on LinkedIn or go through my older posts, because I really try to show you the manual steps how you can do it. I mean, I mentioned, and that can be overwhelming, that I say we are scraping comments. You don't have to scrape comments. The first thing that you need if you want to check out if LinkedIn is a channel for you, find influencers in your space. I'm in the sales space, so the first thing that I did, I went to Google and I asked, okay, give me a list of 10 influencers in the sales space. Now you will find lists over lists over lists. Just take the first one. You go to 3 of these influencers, you check out their last posts with a lot of engagement, scroll through the comment section, and just click on faces and check for yourself, is that a person that is relevant to me? If so, reach out to them. If not, don't reach out to them. Do that 30 times every day, 30 outreaches every day. If half of them at least connect with you, then you're on the right path. And after that, you can think about actually automating it with AI. But as long as you haven't proved manually, maybe for 2 or 3 days in a row, that it works, don't think about AI. And that is kind of the number one lesson that I had in my workshops as well. It was a 3-hour workshop where I showed people how to solve their problems. If you want AI to do it, you have to first do it manually yourself. Second, then you have to try to actually replicate it with an open AI account, like not open AI account, but something free like Claude or ChatGPT. And if that works with Claude or ChatGPT, then you can proceed and automate. But if you try to start automating something that doesn't work in the first place, that is really bad. So basically, the first thing that you can do is try to replicate the strategy manually. And if you need help with that, just go to my LinkedIn account.
Well, no, I can attest to that, because I remember there was a post that you did. It was fairly recently too, within the last few weeks at least, where you laid that strategy out, where you find influencers in your space, pick 2 or 3 of them, go to the comments, right, and then use that kind of as your first list to reach out and see if that's the right ICP for you, and if they are engaged with you, and if they do respond, and what that looks like. And I love that advice. Because you're not just telling everybody to just go get AI and just go buck wild. It's the concept of, I don't know if you've heard of this concept before. It's a Jim Collins quote, but fire bullets and then cannonballs. AI is your cannonball. You got to fire bullets first to make sure that you're pointing the tool in the right direction, and then go.
Actually, the best metaphor that I heard about AI until this day, who knows where we will be in a few months or in a year. AI is like your super intern from an Ivy League university. You can tell them what to do, and if you do it specifically, they will come back with gold. But if you give them too much leeway, too much freedom what to do, you will get back not so good things. And if you approach it that way, usually even when I was building my company pre-AI, I first did everything myself before I hired an intern. And that is all that I'm advocating for. Try it once yourself, or let some human try it, and only then delegate it to AI. And that is what you can expect.
That's a beautiful metaphor and beautiful advice, because just like with an intern, or even just hiring your first employee, right, you have to have done the role that you're going to hand to them first, so you have a process and have a very clear, specific outcome you're trying to create to then give to them. Because if you don't, like, I remember when I was first learning how to do prompts, it did not do what I gave way too much leeway, and it did not spit out what I was hoping that it was going to spit out. But this has been so much great advice. I think a really great starting point for a lot of people. And I think it put some of those misconceptions to bed, especially when it comes to, I don't want to be sending out, they think AI outreach, they think, okay, I'm just going to be sending a bunch of, messages that sound like the Terminator wrote them. That's not the point. The point is to make your efforts, your human touched, authentic efforts, more viable and more fruitful. Am I on track with that?
100%. I couldn't say it better.
Beautiful. You probably could, but that's fine. I appreciate it. But Konstantin, this has been, again, amazing advice, amazing conversation. I can't wait to have more of them with you. But for now, where can everybody find you? And then I have one more question I'm going to ask before we finish up.
So actually the easiest way, because I'm super active on LinkedIn, is on LinkedIn. My name is completely unique, Konstantin Ristl. Even in Germany, it's a very unique name because I think it has more like Austrian roots and not too many people carry that name. So connect me there and I will answer. And maybe only one last thing that I would like to share before you probably will wrap everything up. You are thanking me for advice. And I want to highlight, even if sometimes it sounds like I'm giving advice, I try to stress that I'm not giving advice. Everything that I'm sharing is stuff that I've done myself. I give you experience shares. That is something that is one highlight of that entrepreneur organization where I'm at. And I'm not telling you anything that I wouldn't have done myself, because that is the only way that I want to learn in my life. I want to hear what people have done. I don't want advice. I don't want suggestions. And even if sometimes it sounds like advice, the things that I mentioned today is actually my journey and experience share. It worked for me. Disclaimer, it doesn't need to work for you, but that is the best I can do today.
I'm going to erase that word out of my vocabulary now because experience share sounds way better.
Yeah,
I appreciate that again. One last question for you, Konstantin. This is a question I ask everybody at the end of the podcast, but what's the next summit that you are chasing? And I think you kind of hinted about it before, but I'm excited to hear about it.
The next summit that I'm chasing, actually, there are quite some that I'm going to. I hope that I can go to the Sastre. I don't know if you pronounce it like this, SASTR in San Francisco on the West Coast, because it's kind of for SaaS companies. Besides that, I think the next one that I really signed up for already is a Tony Robbins workshop later this year.
You did it this year, or you're going to be doing it?
I'm going to be doing another one this year, but I've already have a few under my belt. I can highly recommend Tony Robbins. It's quite pricey, but it's worth every penny.
Yeah, no, Tony's one, and he's evolved so much over the years. He still looks like, however, I don't know how old he was when he first kind of blew up on the scene, but he looks great, and he evolves. He's a really good example of somebody who doesn't just stand still, right? He doesn't. His workshops and his events are 10 years ago or don't look anything like they do now, and he's always evolving and always learning himself. So he's a great role model in that way. So I can't stress, if you're going to go to one, especially like if you're first time investing in yourself, Tony's absolutely fantastic. Or the Young Professionals Leadership Summit in Toronto on October 19th. Shameless plug. But Konstantin, I really, really appreciate you coming on. Again, great experience shares. Again, I need to add that in. I need to get in the habit of saying that. Again, everybody who is listening to this, his experience share that he gave that was hit me the most is, don't just dive into something. Don't just spend a bunch of money, and don't just dive into something you don't completely know where to point it. So if you're going to try to get into AI, we've convinced you to utilize it in your own outreach. Find out what works first. Find out where you're trying to point this tool. Because if you don't do that first, if you're not sure what you're handing this tool, if you're not sure what outcome you're trying to create, you're just going to end up wasting a lot of time, a lot of money, and it could hurt you in the long run. I can tell you that because it's happened to me before. So take that experience that Konstantin shared and go out and, again, find what works. Find out what works. Don't take the easy way out. Nothing great happens from taking the shortcuts. But again, thank you very much, Konstantin. And for everybody listening, until next time, keep chasing your next summit.